came singing all the way from Brisbane, and then I get hear my voices.
You'll be right. Oh, you've been singing all the way?
Yeah. Can't help myself when I'm in the car by myself.
Let's do it.
Let's.
All right. Welcome to the podcast. Today, my guest is Daniela Ismerio de Souza.
Hello. Thanks for having me, Scott.
With a Parker added on the end.
Yes. The extension.
The extension.
Yes. Very excited to be here.
You started out life in São Paulo.
Oh my God, that was perfect.
Did I say it right?
So perfect.
Oh, man. In Brazil.
Yes.
I'd like to know what early life was like living in São Paulo.
Yeah, so I was born and I grew up in the countryside in Brazil. It was a very small town type of place, very quiet. And I felt like from a young age I was really eager to get to know more. Like the city was really quiet. I was like, oh, I want to know what else is out there. So I remember like my early memories was like I want big cities. So it was my first ambition from living in the countryside. Yeah, it was a very nice city, but I stayed there until about 10 or 11 years old, and then I moved to the big city, São Paulo. It's massive in comparison, especially.
And what was the difference? What was available to you that wasn't available to you in the countryside?
I feel like in the countryside, I was a little bit more. I needed more inspiration. I needed more stimulus kind of thing. And in the big city, just the noise of the city, everyone on the go, 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 everything, so much happening at the same time was quite inspiring to me. And like even living in the countryside, we would always travel to the big city in São Paulo to visit because my father already had a house there and we would sometimes travel in and out. And so
you had experiences of the city anyway.
I knew what it felt like, what it sounded like, what it smelled like kind of thing. And I liked that better. I thought like the countryside was like too quiet for me.
What was school like in Brazil?
I think it's very similar in many ways to here. I think the main difference that I noticed when I came to Australia is that most schools, at least that I experienced, was both boys and girls studying together. Yeah. And then when I came to Australia, I noticed a lot of schools are just boys or just girls, and I was like, wow.
They tend to be more private schools.
Yeah. And I believe in Brazil that would have some schools like that too, but I didn't experience that. So it was the main difference that I noticed. But it was cool. Like a lot has changed since my time in school, especially in the first few years. I remember it was a lot more structured. Like, we would do like line up before we go to the class to sing the national anthems and things like that. I don't think they do that anymore.
So in Brazil you speak Portuguese.
Correct.
Is there an opportunity to learn English in Brazil? Because I remember when you came to Australia, you virtually didn't speak any English at all.
Not at all. I mean, I thought I did. I did speak enough to survive, in Dubai on my way to Australia. And I was like, I can do this. But yeah, not really. I feel like there is options and opportunities, but it's just not that easy. A lot of people go to English school and study English in Brazil. I did have some English lessons in school, but I think it stays at a very basic level. You learn, simple things like, what's your name? My name is. How are you? I'm fine. And you? This kind of very basic things. And you learn to probably go and look for music translations, like what songs do you like and what do they talk about? And it stays at that level, at public school at least.
So you did a lot of singing in Brazil. Were you singing in Portuguese or singing in English?
Yeah, that's an interesting one because I first fell in love with music, of course, experiencing the Brazilian music. But as soon as I came across English songs, then I was like even more blown away by music. And I think that's when my interest for English also started as well, because I developed this preference for singing in different languages, you know, and
Yeah.
yeah, and
How hard?
especially English.
How hard is it for you? Because I know that we've done a couple of songs where you've sung in Spanish.
Yes.
How hard is it for you to get across doing songs in a Spanish language?
You know, we did Despacito.
Yes.
And Despacito took me, I think, 3 months to learn.
Oh, wow.
It was really hard.
Te pido un beso, vendarlo. Yo sé que estás pensando. Llevo tiempo intentarlo. Mami, tú estás mirando. Sabe que tu corazón conmigo te hace bam bam. Sabe que esa hueva está buscando de mi bomba. Me prueba de mi boca para ver cómo te sabe.
Portuguese and Spanish is so similar in many ways.
Yes.
And I can actually survive and do a lot of things in a Spanish-speaking country in the same way, the other way around. But for music, it's almost like a very hard, fast conversation. I couldn't really grasp any word. Like,
So they're spitting the words out very quickly.
yes, very quickly. And I think that was one of the hardest songs that I had to learn. It took me a long time, and I was like, I need to get this right. Because like one of my first international singers that I was really passionate about and learned her songs was Shakira. And, you know, her songs were in Spanish, and that's one of my first memories of learning to sing songs in different languages was Shakira songs.
In Brazil, you appeared in a big theatre show. What was that like? And how did you get into the show? Did you have to audition? And what was the process?
Well, it depends on which one we are talking about. Like in Brazil, there is, because São Paulo is such a big city, and everything that happens there is quite in a big scale. So one of the bands that I was part of, that was my second band, it was a show band. Show band meaning like we did all this performance with dancing and singing and changing clothes and things like this. It was called the Banda Santana. It was specific bands that just play for graduation parties. So when people are graduating from universities, for example, they have a lot of people that combine sometimes even schools to do a big party, and they get like big acts, like famous people, but they also get the specific graduation band, and that's what this was about. So the whole production was like made for big stages, you know, with stages moving and opening and closing and all that performance thing. And I got to experience them to get to the band after I had the experience in Idol in Brazil.
Okay, so you did Brazil Idol.
Yes, so I did go to Brazil Idol in 2008, and that was my first ever experience in the TV. No, it's not really the first, but the first real one, let's say.
So, okay, so not your first experience on TV, but the first. Okay, so what was your first experience?
Growing up, I went through so many auditions. Like my mom would drag me around to auditions.
Would drag you
time.
around, or did you want to go?
I wanted to go,
Yes.
but at the same time, I feel like my mom was my biggest,
Your biggest supporter?
fan and supporter.
Yeah.
So she was like, "No, we're gonna go and stand on that queue the whole day, and we're gonna do this audition kind of thing." So yeah, of course, I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
But it was her initiative to do it because I was too young to actually even know the auditions was on, and I never got through any of them. But when I say Idol was my first one, is that because it was the first one that I actually got.
Oh, okay.
How
old were you when you did Idol?
I was 21.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
But my first actually experience was like when I was about 10. And there was this audition that I finally passed the audition for singing, and I was so excited. But then they changed, and after I passed the audition, the production said like, "Oh, we're not gonna do singing anymore. Now it's gonna be a miming thing. Like, so you would have to go and perform. So other kids would come and do like Michael Jackson and things like this, and dance and sing. But it wasn't my thing at the time. Like, I just wanted to sing. So I went there and did this miming, like just standing on stage, and it was quite embarrassing.
But you learned something from it.
Oh, absolutely. You learn something from everything.
Yeah. So how was the Idol experience? Was that an experience you look back on and go, okay, I'm glad I did it, or was there any negative sides of that?
No, I'm definitely glad I did. I think it was at a point that I had started university. I had done 3 years of uni, and then I had decided to have a break for my last year. I was like, no, I need a break. I need some time for myself. And then as soon as I decided to have a break, there was the auditions for Idol happening, which of course I couldn't do both at the same time anyway. And then that's when I went for the audition. And for the first time, I got this yes, and I was like, what? Really? So it was very reigniting for me, like in that passion for music, and that I thought like, oh, maybe this could, be something. It was a very special moment. It was both. I think he had a lot of eye-opening moments for me during the show, but he also opened a lot of doors for me. Like before, it was really hard. Like I loved music. I wanted to get into the industry somehow. I had no idea how. I didn't have the contacts. I didn't know what to do. I think the only thing I have done until that point was a few bar duos, but I just couldn't get to go past that, and find the bands. And it's almost like it's so competitive. Like São Paulo is huge. There's so many people. For every opportunity, there's thousands of people competing for them. So when you present to an audition of some sorts, you need to have some kind of history. Like where do you come from? What have you done before? To at least have a chance to audition. So I think Idol did that for me. Idol gave me like it's almost like you're born in the industry at that point, because people go like, oh, you went to Idol. Okay, so that's where you come from.
Well, it gives you some promo marketing material too.
Exactly, yeah.
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 So doors open for you. You've done Idol. What doors do you choose to step through?
Yeah, I was so open, when I came out of the show, which I was like, I didn't go to the finals, but I went to the semifinals, which was huge for me at that time. So you get contacted by a lot of people at the time, and music producers that I met is all from that kind of experience, and bands that's interested in your style, and they approach and say like, hey, have this band, we need a singer, do you want to do it? So I was approached by this band that was like from a different city that I was, a bit far, similar to Brisbane to Gold Coast at that time. But, nothing was an obstacle for me at that time. I was like, you know what, I will take it. And then I got to the band, the name was Banjich. They were incredible musicians, very Brazilian focused, like lots of percussion, like the owner of the band, percussion, and there was another percussionist as well. And I learned so much from those guys, like they were just incredible. And I stayed with them for quite a while, don't remember how long. But then when I went back to university, things got a bit too hard to travel to the other city, and then I left that band, and then I think I was a bit more confident and brave enough to knock on other doors myself. So I target the graduation bands. Mm-hmm. They are more like this production thing, because I always had this desire for performing, like dance and sing as well, and I loved the changing of outfits, It was all part
So
of
it's
the
very
fun.
very theatrical.
Very theatrical, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was like something that I really wanted to do. So I knocked on their door, and by that time I had the idol to base me, and I had the experience with this other band that was like a corporate band
Yeah.
as well, just similar to the Accidents.
Yeah. How long did that last for you? Obviously, study finished at some point. Were you doing the band at the same time as when you finished studying, or did you manage to juggle both?
Yeah, I think what happened with studies was like one of the reasons I had to stop is like I didn't have the money to do the last year. Last year is like you need to work full time and you don't get paid.
So you went and did the work with the band, and you made enough money.
Exactly. And then I was like, oh, how funny is that? Now I work at night, so I can go back to uni and study during the day. So I would work full time at uni and go at night and do the gigs. And then I finished university, and I stayed in Brazil for 2 years after finishing university. And then I was just experiencing, different opportunities in my area and doing music at night as well, until I decided like it was time for me to go somewhere else.
So obviously you came to Australia.
Yeah.
Why leave Brazil, and why come to Australia?
I think there was so many reasons that was building up in me to get me to that point. I think since I was very, very young, I always knew I would leave at some point. It's interesting, but somehow I think my father at the time used to have a job that he would have to travel, not internationally, but he would have to travel. And just the fact that he would go on the airplane fascinated me. And I was like, one day I want to go on an airplane. And I would see the world map for the first time, and I would be like, whoa, we are here. I want to go there. And Australia was always like that other side of the world, like that, that thing that I wanted to go to and experience kind of thing.
And your dad was obviously a music lover, because I can remember you were telling me you used to sit in the car and your dad would play music, and one of your dad's favourite songs was Sultans of Swing by Dire Straits.
Yeah, my memory of that song, it was just in one of those trips that we did between the countryside and the big city in São Paulo, he would play that song. And then when you play that song for the first time, that I was with the band, I was like, whoa, this takes me back to the road when we were traveling from the countryside to the city. So I'm not sure if this was one of my father's favorite songs, but he definitely played that song a couple of times during that trip. So that I think my memories are very attached to music. It's like having that soundtrack to your memories.
Yeah.
And this was one of my songs that was like really bringing me back to that moment kind of thing. But yeah, it's interesting. My father, he loved music just as much as my mom did, but they were both, like, none of them were really musical. Okay. And interestingly enough, even though he loved music, he was not really fond of loud noises. So yeah, we had to stay quiet in the house growing up, which is really hard.
So, do you have other siblings?
Yes, I do have an older sister, Vanessa, and my younger brother, Rafael. And then I have 3 other half brothers and sisters from my father's second marriage. So I have Leo, Carla, and Josie.
Wow. Your brother's a performer, singer, dancer.
Yes.
Is anyone else in the family a musician?
My younger brother, half brother from my father's side, is also really good at the guitar, and he's singing as well. And so from a very young age, he was playing the guitar and singing a little bit. I don't think he really went fully into that, musician kind of life, but he experiences that for sure.
Is he still in Brazil?
He is, yeah.
Because your other brother is...
He's
well,
in London
traveled.
at the moment.
He's in London at the moment.
He's a free bird.
So it's one of those things, Brazilian people, because there are a lot of Brazilian people here
I know.
on the Gold Coast.
I know.
And I guess in Brisbane as well.
Yes.
Quite a big community.
I know. Australia is a very attractive option for Brazilians.
Why is that?
When I was researching about my options to where to go to learn English, it was like Australia sounded so much like the first option, like the top of the list because of weather, because of the beautiful beaches. People love it. Like, you know, Brazilians like that. If you have to move country and adapt to so much at the same time as you're learning a different language, having those familiarities helps so much.
So there's a lot of similarities.
A lot
to
of
being
similarities.
home, back in Brazil.
Yeah, we feel like, I think coming to Australia, it's almost like feeling that this is how we dream in many ways. As I said, I had the dream of experiencing different countries. I had the dream of learning English, all of those things. But the thing that really pushed me to say, like, that's enough, I am going, was exactly when I got my guitar stolen in Brazil.
Wow.
So, yeah, I was working really hard, and I was paying for university, and I felt like everything was hard. Like, you work hard to get something, and I got to buy this beautiful guitar because I was learning guitar before, but I didn't have one. So it was just like whenever I had a chance to grab someone else's guitar and experience it a little bit. And then at some point I got offered to buy this beautiful guitar that was like electric acoustic style.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to do it. And I bought it and I was so excited. I was dragging the guitar everywhere and practicing every day and everything. But I had the gig and I took the guitar with me, left it in the car and went and did the gig. And when I finished, and the car was literally just parked beside the bar where I was playing.
Yeah.
And when I left the bar and I went back to the cars, it was gone.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I felt so empty and so, like, I thought it was so unfair that would have happened, that I was like, I want to try something else.
You also play piano, keyboard.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I play piano.
Well, I've seen you play.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Is that something that you just taught yourself?
I've always wanted to learn music instrument. Like, since a little girl, my dream was to actually go and study piano and guitar and other instruments. Like, if I could, I would play all of them. But I didn't have a chance to growing up. So this was one of the first things that I did when I came to Australia. I felt like coming to Australia was pretty much like doing everything that I always wanted to do that I couldn't in Brazil.
Okay.
So one of the first things I did coming to Australia was to buy an electric piano. And then I kind of started practicing here and there. But I just never thought I was regular enough with my practice to get good enough, but I'm back to lessons now.
The piano is being a great thing for you because that's helped you being able to write music and write
Yep.
songs.
Yeah.
What do you like to write about?
I think I clarified that in my mind that I love to write songs about life. I like to write songs that gives messages of insights about positive things in life. My dream is really like to write songs that gives people hope or, inspire them in some way, like lyrics that they can listen to, before they go into a job interview, or something that motivates them to do something bigger and better, or to help them through hard times, because I think that's what music did for me growing up, and the songs that I chose my whole life was music that would actually be that voice that sometimes you don't have in your own mind. So you play those songs and you go, I can do this. I still remember the songs that pushed me through every difficult moment in my life, and I think that's what I want to write about most of the time.
You've come and recorded some songs in the studio here,
Yeah.
and they've been a mix of covers
Yep.
and originals.
Yeah.
What ways do you get the music out to the world?
I used to just put them on YouTube before. That was my only way to let them out. And
Because we used to shoot some video footage of those as well.
yeah, exactly. So
I'll put links down below so people can go and have a look.
that's awesome. Thank you. So yeah, I used to put them on YouTube only, and I didn't know what else I could do with them. And then what was that? SoundCloud was another thing that I used to use before. And you know, over time, I lose my password from them. I lose access to them. So I have feel like YouTube channels that I have no access to anymore. I feel like I lost a lot of material over the years because, you know, you lose a computer here and you lose your email address. Anyway, I was like, no, I'll be more careful from now on. But I discovered how to actually go about to making my songs available on Spotify and other streaming platforms. And I thought that was like a very important thing for me because I want to make sure I have those songs in ways that they will always be available and
Easy to share too.
Yeah, exactly. So now that's what I do. Like when I get a new song, I just put them on Spotify and Apple Music and all the others. It goes like to all of them. I say Spotify because that's the one that I use the most, but you know, any streaming platform should be in there.
I'll put the links down below.
Amazing.
When you first got to Australia, I remember receiving an email from you saying, I'm a singer from Brazil and I'm looking for a band. And I can specifically remember that. And it was probably a good 6 months or more before I reached out to you and said, come on down and we'll give it a try.
Yeah.
How was that for you, that time? Obviously, there was a lot of things going on for you in once you got here. What were some of the hurdles that you had to get over?
I think the main ones, it was mindset, which I don't think I had a huge problem with mindset, but I had a problem. I had trouble maybe filtering advice. So when I decided to come to Australia, I had this clear vision that I would come for 4 months. That's all that I had in my visa, in my school, everything that I planned to come to Australia for was 4 months. And I was like, in that time, I somehow thought I could learn English fluently and I could experience a little bit of the music industry and, you know, even something in regards to the physiotherapy area. So I thought in my mind it was all possible, you know. And I think when I talk to people back in Brazil, like my clients from Brazil, in Pilates especially, they were well-traveled. I heard a lot of advice and like, don't bother, like don't even try because, you know, if you move to a first world country, you need to be willing to give up on your profession and go clean bathrooms. Like that's,
wow.
I think that's the mentality a lot of the time.
So we should let people know you're a fully qualified
Physiotherapist.
I was trying to look for the right words there. And you own a business now.
Yeah.
That does Pilates and physiotherapy.
Physiotherapy, yeah. Yes, correct. So there's a lot to do with that in my journey to Australia and especially to Brisbane. But I think the main difficulties in the first year, for example, was exactly pushing through those barriers of the mindset that I could still come and try to do all those things in my own area. And even at English school, when I was at English school first few weeks, and the English teacher at school asked everyone like, oh, what you want to do? And I was like, I want to find a band, I want to find a job in my area. And I remember that teacher school was like, don't, like, nah, it's not going to happen.
Really?
Yes. And then I was like, oh, okay. But, I feel like I was willing to give it a go anyway.
Yeah.
And, and I just applied. I thought, like, I have 4 months. What do I have to lose? I would just push through. So I sent my first email to a lot of bands. I'm glad to know you got the email. I didn't know. Because
I got your email.
I think the email was probably like really giving out how bad my English was. Like, but I remember reading back to the email later on, and I was like, that's why no one contacted me. This was, I didn't get any response from that email. And I think that was just like, I gave it a break. I sent that email out. I let it out that way, and I just spent that first 4 months focusing on learning English as much as I could. And I figured out that I could apply to stay a bit longer, so I extended my visa. And then when I was here for a whole year, and I felt like my English was a little bit better to actually go and try again, I approached you on Facebook. So I was like, you know what, I did the email, it didn't work, so I'm going to go and find the bands that I like, and I'm going to send them a message on Messenger, on Facebook,
yeah.
so at least we have that. It's not like, maybe you're going to see it or not.
It's a little bit more personal.
It's a little bit more personal. So I messaged you, and you replied to me on Facebook, and you were like, oh yeah, you can come and do an audition. And I was like, cool.
And it was great because at the time, I think it was one of those things too, as a bit of synchronicity, because at the time I was actually looking for somebody. So it worked out really, really well.
I know. And synchronicity is the word. Like, because I felt like, I feel like a lot that has happened for me in Australia was synchronicity. And it was like that kind of meant to be type of thing.
Yeah, I also think you are very correct in saying that your mindset is one of the things that helps you break through. I mean, you're having people telling you, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But you didn't listen to that.
Yeah. It does put a little extra, because I feel like naturally everybody is already self-doubting and, and being too hard on themselves.
Where does that self-confidence come from, do you think?
I don't even know if that's actually self-confidence thing. I felt that for me it was really that idea of I have nothing to lose.
Okay.
I feel like I had this from a young age. I was like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna bet all my coins. I'm gonna go fully. If it doesn't work, then I will know that I did all that I could for everything that I really wanted. I think that's how I did. Mm-hmm. I was like willing to really go fully, with all my heart, with all my mind and all my efforts. And then if it works, it works. And if it doesn't work, I know it wasn't for me. It wasn't meant to be. So I think that was...
One of the hurdles that you had to get over, and I do remember this, was getting your qualifications from Brazil recognised.
Yes.
In Australia.
Yes. Oh my God.
What was involved in doing that?
So at first, I first came to Australia, and I didn't get a band in my first year, but I also applied for jobs in physiotherapy clinics. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even know I wasn't allowed to work as a physiotherapist in Australia at that point. You don't know, you're just figuring out how things work here. But most of the places that replied to me said that, look, you can't be a physiotherapist because you're not
qualified in
Australia, but you can be a Pilates teacher, because I had the Pilates training as well. So I was like, awesome, I'm still involved in that area, you're still in touch with the same sort of environment, and I got two jobs. Actually, the only two that I applied to at the time, which was incredible, because I I went for the interviews with no English at all, and I have no idea how they got me to teach Pilates. But that's what taught me English, actually, was like teaching Pilates was literally my main English teacher, my clients. They were amazing. And so when I was already working as a Pilates instructor, I started researching and figuring out what do I have to do to get my qualifications. Because once I was in Australia, fell in love with Brisbane, was like, this is the place. You know, my heart is like, it feels like home here. I want to stay. What do I do next? So that's when I started researching, like, if I could actually bring my qualifications so I could continue working with what I was doing in Brazil. And then I just went on the website, APRA website, and checked my options. And you had a few different options there that you could choose. And I picked one, and I just kept pushing through because, like, there is a lot of setbacks. Like, there was so much documentation that I had to go back to get from Brazil, from the universities in Brazil, from proving what Brazil is about. And universities, had to get back to teachers back in Brazil, find so many things out, so many details. So it took me like 3 years, a lot of emotional, mental resilience.
Yeah.
And a lot of money too.
3 years.
Yeah.
Well, let's just talk about the amount of money it took, because that's a big commitment.
It is, yeah.
I mean, it's not only taking your time and it's taking up a large amount of money.
It is. Every time you had to apply for anything, it was like a couple of $1,000s, like, I don't remember now.
Is that just to submit paperwork to Australian government officials?
Yeah. I remember at the time, as I was going through the process, I was always like talking. My clients were like in Pilates in the clinic. They were very supportive of the whole process. They became my family like that, like with that kind of
Bit
relationship.
of a cheer squad to you.
Yeah.
Come on, Daniela.
Exactly. They were teaching me English. They were like, what can we do to help you stay? And and that's my business. It's my family because of those reasons. So they told me that not many years before, I'm trying to learn the years properly instead of years.
Years.
A few years before I came to Australia, there was this big thing about people coming from different countries and faking
faking their qualifications.
the qualifications as health professionals. So they just made everything a lot more difficult and strict. And it makes sense. I think it is fair enough. It's just like that. There was all that back and forth with documentation. The thing about the whole process, though, it's that when you have the setbacks, they don't come with you can try again. They usually come with an email saying like, no, you
failed.
You did not qualify. Your evidence wasn't
good enough.
Good enough. And then I would have to kind of call them and say like, hey, what can I do? And then they would say like, oh, you can reapply. And I was like, can I do this? Like, yeah, of course.
So you apply and it costs money to apply, and then if it doesn't work, you have to reapply, so you have to spend that money again.
Yeah. And then there was like a lot of money translating documents and, and all those kind of things. And like getting lawyers in Brazil to get your paperwork. It was a huge process, but I knew it was going to be worth it. And I was like, once I got in that process, I was like, I'm going to push to the end. I'm not stepping back, until someone says like, there's nothing else you can do. You will... I was going to keep going. So I wasn't really paying much attention to how much money I was spending. I was like, is that another $1,000? That's all right, I'll pay for it and let's go. And then after 3 years, when the result came, I was like, I could not believe it. It was just incredible. And incredible timing as well, because it was exactly at the same time as a group of my first clients, the first 4 people that I taught Pilates, that were my main Pilates teachers as well and everything, they supported me by buying the business for me. The business went for sale, but my visa was attached to it. So they wanted to make sure I was going to be able to stay in Australia. So they were like, if your visa is attached to the business, we're going to buy the business, and you're going to run it. And then, yeah, so that's what I say. It really felt like a lot that has happened. It felt like I was meant to be. Feel like I met the right people in the right time, and they, I always had people like supporting me and guiding me through.
Yeah.
So I never felt alone.
I think a lot of that is to do with your outlook as well.
Hopefully.
Eventually, you decide that you're going to become an Australian citizen.
Yeah.
So you're Brazilian Australian.
Yes, exactly. I can have both, which is really lucky. The being a citizen was a dream from the moment I stepped in Australia, and I fell in love with the place and everything. You just think like, how can I make this happen? And sometimes it can be a very hard process to some people. I felt really lucky in the whole process because I got a sponsorship in the clinic quite quickly, and then I just needed like 2 years as a sponsored person to be able to apply for my permanent residency. And so overall it took me like 3 years to be able to be a permanent resident. So I felt like really lucky. I think I couldn't have done it in less time. So, but become a citizen, it took me a lot longer because I think I was traumatized by the paperwork process from applying for physiotherapy.
Oh, yes.
And then I was like, I'm a resident, I'm good. I don't want to do...
Because there was an amount of money attached to that as well.
Well, there's always money attached to applying for any visas, And then I felt really comfortable in being a permanent resident, even though I know there was like really good becoming a citizen. There was so many other things involved to it, including voting and a passport, right? But at the same time, I was like, I'm not ready yet to go through any paperwork process. I can't do it.
Well, after 3 years of going backwards and forwards with that, I can certainly understand that.
Yeah, it took...
Like say, traumatizing.
I know, I was traumatized. I was like, I don't want to do that. And I think that's the same. Like, that's still the same for my name changing as well. It's probably the same thing. I need to go past that. But, I really felt that...
We're talking about name changing because we haven't spoken about this.
Oh, yeah, that's
But you married an Australian man.
Yeah, exactly. And now, I am considered a Parker, but he always says, like, you haven't changed your name yet. And I was like, well, I will. I promise. I will. And I know it doesn't sound that complicated or anything, but it's just like the process, the paper. I feel like it's very intimidating, And then that's why it took me so long. What pushed me to do it, it was like when we had our first international trip to Bali. And then someone told me like, oh, you need to check your visa to see if you can actually come back. And I was like, of course I can. I'm a permanent resident. And they go like, no, that expires too. And I was like, no. And then I went to check and it did. So I could leave the country, but I wouldn't be able to come back without reapplying. So I had to spend another $500.
Wow.
And I was like, no, I need to do my citizenship, so I don't need to go through that again.
Wow.
Yeah, so there always had to be something to push us to do, to move forward, right?
Yeah. You've got 2 lovely kids now.
Yes.
How has having children changed your life?
Massively. I think until I didn't even know if I was going to have kids until, my early 30s type of thing. It was I didn't know if I could see myself as a mom. But again, I feel like I'm always all or nothing in a lot of things. So I was like, if I'm not a mom, I'm going to be okay with that. And I'm just going to dive in more into my own things. But if I'm a mom, I'm going to be a mom. Like, I know I'm going to love it. And I do. Like, all of a sudden, everything changed. And I was like, I want a baby. And it was the best thing, I think, that has happened to me. It was having those kids. It changed me in so many ways. It shakes women in general in every single way. It makes you break down and build yourself again. It's almost like giving you an opportunity to become a different person
Oh, okay.
from that. Because if we get attached to who we were before, it can be really hard and distressing, And I hear a lot of women, and I felt that too. You miss who you were before you had kids, but then I feel like focusing on actually being a mom and the privilege that it was, and what it was making me become from that point, instead of like who I used to be, I used to gig and
You gotta look forward, not backwards.
Yeah, exactly. And then I was like, no, I don't have to miss that. I'm glad I went through all of that. I'm glad I did all that I did, the travels that I did, but now it's a different phase. And I think they really inspire me in a different level today. So, at the same time as I'm not as able to do gigs like I was before, I feel like they made me realize a different type of music that I can pursue.
Okay. And when you say a different type of music, can you explain or expand upon that?
Yeah, I think I always wanted to write. And in those millions of auditions that I've done in the past, I've always heard things like, oh, you need to find your sound. And I could never understand what that meant, I was like, well, I'm singing. And I learned how to sing by copying other singers. I didn't do lessons. I would listen to a singer that I liked, and I wanted to reproduce their sound. That's how I fell in love with music for the first time, was like hearing something and trying to do the same. So I was always trying to copy exactly the sound as much as I thought, it would get close to that. And then I think when I went to audition, that probably came out a bit too much like, oh, you're trying to copy the singer. It was like, well, it is what it is. But now I started realizing that when I create my own music, I create my own sounds and I have my own inspiration, then that's my own sound. That's the thing that I can do.
I'm lost in this sweet tenderness. How could
When
I
you get
be
very involved in the music,
luckier than
gigging,
this?
it's so much
Oh,
fun,
how could I
but it leaves no time sometimes for you to actually dive into your own sound like that. You're just too busy doing the things that you have to do in the gigs and in the bands, and you're learning songs, and you're getting in sync with the band. And when I had to stop from COVID, that's when I first stopped, and then I had kids from there. I felt like I missed music. I couldn't be on stage, but I was at home thinking like, what do I want from music? I want to create more. I want to write more. I want to find out what sounds actually makes me feel the most, like the most feelings. And yeah.
So you didn't have any training. I'm just curious, because one of the things that is wonderful about your singing is your ability to pitch notes is it's quite really remarkably good.
Thank you.
So where does that come from, do you think?
I think that was really from that learning by copying. I think that I always had the song from a young age, and that's one of the things that I remember my mom telling people when I was very young. She's like, oh, she doesn't just sing the songs, she waits for the timing. And that's something that my mom noticed about me. And I was like, isn't that normal? I would think, I think this is normal, but I would hear like other people would sing a song and just do whatever part and
So you're always
skip the beat.
into the nuance.
Yeah, I feel like when I sing a song, the original is playing in my head, and I have to match that. If I don't, I can get lost. So there's good and bad in that, because sometimes in some occasions when I was with bands that would change the key of a song completely, I would be like, I can do this, but depending on where it goes, I would get completely lost.
What do you find different between gigging here in Australia with bands than what you were doing in Brazil? I mean, obviously theatre's a different thing.
Yeah.
Have you looked into doing theatre in Australia?
I did. Actually, when I was looking for bands in Australia, I was looking for as close to what it was there in Brazil. But what I realized is that in here, you just have that kind of show, at least at that time when I was looking for it. If you really go into the theater. And I never trained for that, really. I never really went that path. And I knew that my singing was not really the theater kind of style. Like I didn't have any belting techniques. I didn't even know what mixed voice was, kind of thing.
But you do now.
Well, I'm learning. Yeah, that's. Yeah, I think I'm discovering it a bit more each day, and now I'm starting to realize why I knew the theater, the pure theater, wasn't for me at that time. Like I wasn't ready for that. But yeah, I would love to. Like I love the shows. I love the performance.
What was the difference between, say, performing here? Because Daniela obviously performed in a band with me for quite a few years,
Yeah.
and still does from time to time. What's the difference between doing that here than doing it in Brazil?
The main difference is that in Brazil,
There's lots more percussion players.
yeah, it is, absolutely. But the other thing is that I sang a lot of English songs in Brazil, having no idea what that meant,
Oh,
and believing that no one would care.
so you were learning them things phonetically.
Phonetically, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I realized when I came to Australia that I was trusting a lot in the vowels and not really giving that much energy to
Consonants.
consonants and pronouncing the words properly. So as long as I was in the right vowels kind of thing, it was like, that sounds close enough. So there's still a few videos from the show band that I can't even watch back.
Oh, really?
You know, there's one that I should have mentioned that, but like,
Because now you know better.
because now I know I Will Survive, and I'm singing that, and when I watch back, I go like, you know. But it was so much fun, and it was just like the English. When I loved a song, I would learn it more to the core of the song, but for the rest, I would just kind of learn the song. So that was one of the main differences.
Is English spoken at all in Brazil?
No, not in a daily life
yeah.
kind of thing. And you know, one of the things that I noticed as well, as I said, because of how competitive São Paulo was or is, it's almost like for you to grow or to have better opportunities, English became a very basic requirement. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the time, it's not really a fluent English. You know, a lot of people can just get away with very basic English, and that still will give them a much better opportunity. You know, so I've been to so many interviews where people would say, "Oh, I've been to the US for 3 months," and then they would get a much better job than someone who has never been. And, you know, I now know that 3 months you cannot learn English in 3 months. You just can't. Like, it doesn't matter how much immersed you are. Unless you've studied English, like in a really good English school your whole life, it's not possible.
And I do remember this going through of talking about how to pronounce certain words. Because you would come to gigs and go, how do I say that?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know,
What
for
does
a long
this mean?
Yeah. Oh, and I still do. Like, I feel like there's so many songs still that I go like, oh, I need to go and check these lyrics out properly and know what he's talking about. But yeah, there is a lot. I remember in the band one day, someone said I was singing the song Nicki Minaj, and I was like, let's go to the beach, bitch. And it took me a long time to actually be able to see the difference between beach and beach.
Well,
I don't
English
even know.
can be a hard language.
I know.
Because you've got there, and there.
My goodness, tell me about it. And
there's so many words. It is and we've borrowed words from other languages too.
yeah, and the sounds are not all the sounds. We are not used to all the sounds. You know, the same way as we discussed São Paulo,
Yeah.
and people that are not from Brazil, they will say São Paulo.
Yeah, because of the way it's spelt.
Exactly, and it sounds, you know, similar enough, but it's just like people in some words, that accent makes all the difference. And I understand that English is just the same, and that's why I'm trying to focus on
An Australian accent.
the Australian accent now. You know, like just the other day, I went for coffee with my friend Rebecca, who's Australian. She's been my best friend since my first few weeks in Australia. She's one of the ones who taught me a lot in English, and she tells me things that other people feel like they can't tell me. And then we went for coffee, and I was like, oh, you know, because in different countries, and she was like, oh, it's hilarious how you say country. And I was like, how else could you say that? And she's like, you don't say the own, you just go country. And I was like, oh my God, I know how to say country now. And you know, it took me only 13 years. Yes.
That's got to be interesting. Because this is something that you must constantly have to do, is to retrain your brain to talk, to say things differently,
Yeah.
sing things differently.
Yeah.
Is there any technique that you have for doing that?
I don't know if it's specific technique. I was, the other day, I was just trying to sing a few songs, and I realized that I couldn't put some words together. So I started YouTubing some, what's the name of that again? Oh my God, my memory. Like quick words that are hard to say together.
Mm-hmm.
And that really helps. So I feel like sometimes I need to go over and I need to listen to a song or say the word a few times.
You need to learn some Aussie rap.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, I love rap.
This is one of the things I was going to say to you, because I'm curious as to how you learn, and because you do learn lyrics very quickly.
Yeah. When I like the song, I do.
But do you have a technique? If you're learning a song, is it something where you write it out, or is it just listen to it over and over? What is your process?
It has always been listening to it over and over. And what I notice is that when I listen to a song over and over, if I love the song and the lyrics make sense to me, I can learn it much quicker.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I get that lyrics, and next time I know exactly where it's going. When I don't, I listen over and over, and I feel like every time I listen to that song, I can finish another word that I didn't before.
Okay.
And it's like almost word by word, you know, and sometimes I go like, oh, now I got this two together. And I listen to it again, and then I get a little bit more. And then I get those two like down path, and then I'm adding up to them every time I add up. So I repeat songs a lot. It would drive anyone mad that, you know, that lives with me or spends time with me, because I would, if I'm learning a song,
over and
I
over.
can listen to that a million times on repeat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I always felt like if I probably went to write it down, I didn't think that would work for me as much, you know, like as just listening and trusting how it almost becomes like a subconscious kind of thing. Just it needs to happen run free. And sometimes even if I try to look and see where I am, I get more lost.
Oh.
You know?
Wow.
Yeah.
So we're at a point now where the music industry's changed quite a lot.
Yes.
TV shows like Idol and the like aren't as popular as they were back then.
Yeah.
Streaming services have changed, and the way music is consumed has changed.
Yes.
What do you think music for you will be like in the next 5 or 10 years? Are you going to still continue writing and putting stuff out there? And what part do you see music playing in your life from here on in?
Yeah, I actually feel that that's the moment that I feel more inspired to write. So that's what I want to do the most. It's write, it's find a way to record them, put them out there. And I found a new motivation in myself to do it. That's for my kids. Like I feel that most songs that I write nowadays, it's almost like what I want them to hear when they're older.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
I want to be that little voice that they can tune into and listen to those songs, because you know I think that's such a powerful thing. Like there's so many times that it happened. Like I was talking to my brother a couple of months ago, and he said he went through a tough time. And he was like just feeling really down. And one of his friends at the time said like, you should listen to your sister's song. and he put one of my songs on that his friend knew.
Yeah.
And made him pay attention to the lyrics that he showed his friend before, you know. And he was like, oh, you know, and that's what I want for my kids. I want things that I'm probably not going to be able to tell them at the time. I want that to be available for whenever they need to hear.
Are they showing any signs of musical ability?
Absolutely. Like they are just, Mila's 2, Christopher's 4, they sing all the time. They just sing in the house the whole time. And Christopher is just like me.
So it's not a quiet household. Not like when you were young.
Oh my God. I understand why my father wanted a quiet house, because it's so overstimulating. But what I notice is like I can see what my mom used to tell about me in my son, because when I tell him like his favorite song is Baby Shark, right? So when I tell him sing Baby Shark, instead of he starting the song Baby Shark, he goes like da-da, da-da, and he does the whole instrumental thing,
yes.
And he waits for the exact right time to get into the song, and I go, it just blows my mind, you know, because I go like, oh, okay, so maybe that's what my mom used to say about me. And yeah, so I don't think I could make them like music, but you know, and I don't know if they will pursue that as they grow, but at the moment they're definitely they really like music. They don't like me singing though. Every time I sing, especially in the car, my daughter goes like, "Mommy, stop!" And I go like, oh, "Okay." So you know, let's see what happens.
Oh, yeah, it's very definitive.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I will put links to YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud,
Well,
Apple.
yeah, I don't even know. Yeah.
I'll put all the links down below so you can go and check out Daniela's music and the covers.
Yes.
I might even put some accident stuff up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Need to do more. Need to do more.
All right. Thank you very much, Daniela.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone, for hanging around and watching the podcast. And hopefully people in Brazil are watching.
Yes, hopefully.
Come out to Australia and say hi.
Yes, amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for watching. Bye.
Bye.